songs from 69 years ago. Do you remember when this song brought rock and roll to life? Or when this voice captivated a generation? Almost 7 decades ago, the world was a different place. Cars were works of art, the radio was a magical window, and love was measured in melodies that stuck to your heart. Today, we're gonna listen to them again, not just with our ears, but with our memories. Because in each of these songs, something still belongs to us. 14. Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis Presley. Music was never the same after that night in 1956 when a deep, trembling voice came through the radio and the world heard Heartbreak Hotel for the first time. Elvis Presley wasn't yet the king, but this song was the start of the legend. Inspired by a newspaper story about a man who took his life in a hotel, the song spoke of loneliness, despair, and broken hearts, yet it got half the planet dancing. It was a time when rock and roll was just taking its first steps, when many parents saw it as a threat and mothers swooned over that young guy with the perfect pompadour and forbidden moves. Elvis recorded it in a Nashville studio, with an electric guitar roaring like a restless soul. No one expected it to sell so much, but when it hit the stores, young people rushed to buy it. They say Presley himself doubted a song so sad could be a hit. But that's the irony. It was that sadness, wrapped in rhythm and attitude, that launched him to the top. Before we go on, we'd love to get to know you better. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Let's keep going. 13. Don't Be Cruel by Elvis Presley. And as if that wasn't enough, that same year Elvis Presley went back to the studio and blew us away with another gem called Don't Be Cruel. If Heartbreak Hotel showed his melancholic side, this was pure charm, a plea turned into melody, a guy begging his sweetheart not to be cruel to his heart. Written by Otis Blackwell, the song had that special touch only Elvis could give, a voice that slid between sweetness and rebellion. The rhythm was catchy, and with those flirty female backup vocals, it was simply a work of art. When he performed it on TV in his gold suit, millions of young people were spellbound. That was the moment Elvis went from being just a singer to a cultural phenomenon. Here's a fun fact. Don't Be Cruel was the B-side to Hound Dog, but the public loved it so much it dominated the charts. Radio DJs didn't know which to play first. Elvis had done something no one had before, turned every release into a national event. Drop a like if you love at least one Elvis song. Roll Over Beethoven by Chuck Berry. While the king was conquering the world, in another corner of America, a man with a blazing guitar and a sly smile was shaping something even wilder. Chuck Berry didn't just play rock and roll, he was rock and roll. In 1956, his song Roll Over Beethoven shook the foundations of music. It was like an open letter to the old guard of music, blending blues, country, and a youthful energy that was pure magic. The song wasn't just a celebration of the new sound, it was a symbol of rebellion. In the 50s, talking about Beethoven, the symbol of music, like that was straight up provocative. But Berry knew what he was doing. He was saying, in musical code, that a new language had been born, and it needed space. Years later, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones would cover this song as a tribute to the man who taught them to play guitar with soul. Chuck Berry was the bridge between two worlds, African American blues and the rock that would conquer the planet. 11. Long Tall Sally by Little Richard. But Chuck Berry's greatest feat was lighting the spark for others like Little Richard to start a wildfire. His song Long Tall Sally, released in 1956, was pure energy, a burst of joy and chaos. The story goes that the song was born as a response to Tutti Frutti, to prove he could be even more explosive. The lyrics told of a tall woman, Sally, who seemed to turn the whole neighborhood upside down. But beyond the message, what stuck was the frenetic rhythm and a voice that seemed to come straight from the fire. Little Richard was unlike anyone else, showing up in shiny suits, makeup, and a smile that brought his art to life. Some criticized him, others adored him, but no one could ignore him. Long Tall Sally was an instant hit, and its influence spread like wildfire. John Lennon used to say he'd listen to it before a show to get pumped up. Paul McCartney sang it at countless concerts as a tribute, and there's no better proof of its impact than that. Drown in My Own Tears by Ray Charles. In 1956, the world was starting to discover a new way to feel music. And there was Ray Charles, a man who couldn't see with his eyes, but saw art better than anyone. When he recorded Drown in My Own Tears, he was baring his soul, and it instantly connected with us. His voice broke as if every word hurt. That blend of gospel and blues felt like it came straight from the heart. It was one of the first times popular music dared to cry out loud. Until then, love songs were polished, restrained, but Ray dared to go deeper. Behind the mic was a man who lost his sight at 7 and his mother at 15, yet never lost faith in what his voice could convey. Drown in My Own Tears was his way of saying, yes, pain exists, but it can also be beautiful. 9. Blueberry Hill by Fats Domino. In that same decade, the world fell in love with a blue hill. Blueberry Hill had been recorded before, but it was Fats Domino who made it immortal. With his sweet voice and calm smile, he turned a simple melody into a universal anthem. Domino was different from other rock artists of the time. He didn't need to shout or make a scene. His magic was in the laid-back rhythm and a singing style that felt like a hug. The song spoke of lost love, of memories that linger in a corner of the soul. But in Fats' voice, the pain became warm and bearable, an invitation to look back without bitterness. As it played on radios across the country, something curious happened. Rock stopped being just music for rebellious teens. With Blueberry Hill, adults got swept up too. They listened in bars, homes, and cars, all humming that chorus with a wistful smile. What's your favorite song from this decade? Drop it in the comments so we can all give it a listen. 8. My Prayer by the Platters. If you ever caught this song on the radio when you were young, you know it had the power to stop time and make you reflect, if only for a couple of minutes. My Prayer by the Platters was just that, a timeless melody. The group was already known for their smooth, elegant harmonies, but with this song, they reached another level. It was like their voices were floating. The lyrics spoke of love, but also of faith, of the hope that love could last forever, even when everything else changed. Here's the kicker. My Prayer was written decades earlier, in 1939, as an instrumental piece, but the Platters gave it a voice and soul. Their performance was so profound, it became one of the most romantic songs of all time. Even today, listening to it feels like stepping back to a moment when love seemed like a promise that could last forever. 7. See You Later, Alligator by Bill Haley and His Comets. But when it was time to hit the dance halls, you needed a song like this one that got under your skin and made you want to move. See You Later, Alligator by Bill Haley and His Comets was proof of how rock became a party. That song defined the 50s, energy, rebellion, and fun. Bill Haley had already made history with Rock Around the Clock, but this track confirmed rock was here to stay. Here's an incredible fact. While Haley's version is the most famous, the song was written and recorded by a young guy named Bobby Charles, a white kid from Louisiana who loved black music. That cultural blend was exactly what made rock so powerful. When See You Later, Alligator played, young people felt like they could be whoever they wanted. It was a song about freedom, disguised as a joke. Critics thought it was a passing fad, but we know now it was one of the songs that defined the spirit of an era. 6. Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins.
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show.
We've got to stand up to talk about one of the decade's most iconic songs, Blue Suede Shoes. Carl Perkins, a young guy from Tennessee, wrote it after overhearing a soldier jokingly say, "Don't step on my blue suede shoes." Perkins laughed, not knowing he'd turn it into music history. Blue Suede Shoes was a statement of style, pride, and youth. In an era when many barely had enough to get by, clothes were a symbol of identity, and those shoes meant something bigger. The desire to be somebody. Carl Perkins recorded it at Sun Records, the same studio where Elvis Presley was starting his career. The song was such a hit that even Elvis covered it, though the king himself admitted Perkins' version had an authenticity tough to match. Sadly, just as the song was climbing the charts, Perkins was in a serious car accident that kept him off the stage for a while. But his legacy was already set. Blue Suede Shoes became one of rock's cornerstones. 5. That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye, yeah,
Some songs seem simple but carry the spirit of a whole generation, and That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly is the perfect example. Recorded in 1956 and a hit the next year, it was the spark that ignited his legend.
You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well,
Buddy didn't look like the typical rocker of the time, no flashy suits or wild hair. With his round glasses and youthful voice, he seemed more like a kid from the neighborhood than a revolutionary leader. But when he picked up his guitar, he made it clear he was a true rock star. His music was different, joyful, free, honest. He recorded it with the Crickets, his inseparable band, and with that song, they did something no one expected. They took the Texas rock sound to the whole world. That'll Be the Day didn't just hit number 1, it changed music history. 4. Crazy Arms by Jerry Lee Lewis. Before Jerry Lee Lewis earned the nickname The Killer, before he set pianos and stages on fire, there was a song that set his path, Crazy Arms. It was his first single, and though it wasn't a huge commercial hit, it was the prelude to everything that followed. Jerry Lee was a wild young guy from Louisiana who learned piano in church, but with a passion that couldn't be contained. His family wanted him to sing hymns, but he had other plans. When he recorded Crazy Arms in 1956, rock was still finding its identity. The song, originally country, became an explosive mix of rhythms in his hands, something no one had heard before. Jerry pounded the keys with an intensity that seemed to challenge both heaven and hell. Though Crazy Arms didn't top the charts, it opened the doors to Sun Records, the same label that launched Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins, and Johnny Cash. That's where Jerry found his destiny. Subscribe to the channel if you want us to do a video revisiting your favorite year. 3. Be-Bop-A-Lula by Gene Vincent and his Blue Caps.
Be-Bop-A-Lula, she's my baby.
That sound is pure rebellion, a cry against anything holding us back. Gene Vincent released Be-Bop-A-Lula, and suddenly, every young person felt heard. The story behind the song is wild. Gene was recovering from an army injury when he wrote that odd title, inspired by the rhythm of the words and the sound of the syllables. It was a phrase that said nothing and everything at once.
Be-Bop-A-Lula, she's my baby.
The song hit the radio and young people were hooked. Vincent sang with a raspy, sensual voice, while his band, the Blue Caps, backed him with a rhythm impossible to resist. It was one of the first rockabilly anthems, that wild style blending white country and black blues. Gene Vincent became an icon of early rock, though his career was marked by accidents and tragedies. But his style, his stage moves, inspired an entire generation. Even John Lennon, years later, would name him as one of his biggest influences. 2. Little Darlin' by the Diamonds. Before rock took over the radio, love ballads were part of daily life. But few had the charm, sweetness, and touch of humor of Little Darlin'. Recorded by the Diamonds in 1957, it was the perfect mix of romance and wit. We didn't know it then, but the song wasn't theirs originally. It was recorded earlier by a group called the Gladiolas, led by Maurice Williams. But the Diamonds version, with its theatrical style and quirky spoken part in the middle, won over the public. There's something so human about Little Darlin'. It's not a perfect song, nor does it try to be. It has a touch of innocence that makes it lovable. That's why it stood the test of time. Even now, its charm is untouched. It was one of those songs that reminded us love can be fun too. 1. Walkin' After Midnight by Patsy Cline.
Go out walking after midnight.
We close this journey with a voice we couldn't leave out, Patsy Cline. Walkin' After Midnight was her introduction to the world, a song of melancholy and longing that made her one of the most beloved artists of her generation.
After midnight, searching for you.
Recorded in 1956, the song didn't take off right away. But everything changed when Patsy performed it on a TV show. Her deep, elegant voice left the audience speechless. From there, Walkin' After Midnight climbed the charts and became a classic. In an era when women were often portrayed as sidekicks or passive figures, Cline broke the mold. She sang with strength, determination, and a feeling that paved the way for those who followed, earning her a spot on the radio.
After midnight, searching for me.
Her career was short but intense, cut short by a plane crash in 1963. Still, Walkin' After Midnight remains her purest mark, a woman who turned pain into art. And that's the end of this journey. We'll leave you with a video of another list of old songs if you want to keep reliving the nostalgia of those days. Catch you next time.